Should we take a peek?
The gacha games that most people enjoy, and I know a lot of you guys won't admit it, you like having certain characters really stand out and
okay, let's preface this though. Let's preface this. I like Fob, okay? I like Fob. However, he is so gacha corpo cucked. Like, just he is insanely gacha corpo cucked, but great guy.
Shine ahead of others. There's no way you want every fucking character in every game you play to be the exact same fucking power level. I do. You want everything to be the exact same. I don't know. That just sounds really fucking boring. Not to
He's still gacha brained about corpo. Well, he's okay. The reason why I say kind of like gacha cocked or brained is simply because he sees all the problems of like the corpo-ness of gacha as being like part and parcel of what it is, so we're like, it's fine, right? That's what I mean. Like, he will see all the bad things that happen because of gacha corpo, and he just accepts them as they are because that's how it's meant to be. And that's why I say gacha cocked, because I think you're a gacha cock if like you're just like, yeah, but this is how gachas always are. This is how they're meant to be and how they work, and people like it that way. So it is what it is. Like that's just like, oh, okay, cool.
same, but I want shit to be OP. If everything is OP, then wouldn't that fucking just like kind of trivialize everything then? I think what keeps player bases interested.
Like that's what I mean. Like fucking, like I lie in the position of like, I accept what I am. I accept I'm someone who is someone that is like influencing like corpo tactics in like gaming. I make content about gacha games. I promote it to people. I have to accept that. I can't deny it. It's just like a reality of like what I'm doing, right? But I could also sit on the side of like being like, I don't want it to get worse, and I will always promote better monetization strategies in these games. Like, I also want it to get better, right? Like, I can wade in shit, but I also want to try and polish this turd as much as fucking possible, right? Like, I don't want it to be this way forever. I want it to get better, right? I want to uncuck myself. I want to uncuck myself from corpo like gacha like cock that makes it so like predatory, right? But someone like Fob, he's always gonna be he just accepts it is what it is, and it's fine because it's always been that way and people like it and enjoy it, so it's fine. Like, that's the difference, right? Like, I accept that, like, you know, whatever, but I'm sure he also like fucking promotes like systems getting better. I'm not saying that he wouldn't. I'm not saying that he wouldn't, but he's way more willing to be someone very verbally like in defense of it.
And this is just having played gachas for long enough, is that people are always looking for that landmark character. Obviously, there'll be other characters that are great and solid characters as well, but that one landmark character that comes out, that's what people are always going to be like, oh, that's what we're looking forward to, you know? Let's say you were playing fucking Genshin, right?
I mean,
what's
like,
the landmark character? The Archon.
This exists. This is very true for like all like the modern ones, right? This is true for all the modern ones. Just like there will always be a character that's inherently preferred. Like, think of like Cardathea, right? The sensitive resonator Cardathea. When she came out, you could solo with her like S0 and all this like endgame fucking content. She's objectively the strongest character in the game with her team. Like, it's going to happen. But what matters is that do all the other characters still perform like around you? Like, do they still like live up? Like, the whole point is that you don't make the content you're fighting harder to match this more powerful character. That's the difference, right? I feel the difference is that the stronger landmark characters just deal with the content like easier, but that still doesn't necessarily affect the other characters like as much. It's just that content becomes easier with this character. Like, that's really how it is.
HSR, you're looking for the Emanator, right? For ZZ, you're looking for the fucking Void Hunter. Even in War, you have the fucking Sentinel Resonator, fucking whatnot. You have like big things that are gonna be like a point of interest. And they might not be exactly in line with every other fucking character. They might be stronger. But like, the fact that they are slightly stronger, or sometimes even way stronger, is something that is a sort of attraction to it. If
100%. Like, he's not wrong here, like, at all. We all look forward to the Archons. We all look forward to the Sentinel Resonators. How many of us are like skipping or saving for Amy? So many people are. So it's true. So obviously they're gonna make those characters a lot better, right? They're gonna make them like a lot better. But like the other thing is that like popularity of a character though doesn't always mean they're going to make that character like brilliant or amazing, right? For example, like this only matters with like characters that make sense in lore and story that are supposed to be strong, right? Because it doesn't matter about character popularity overall. Because look at Zanny, for example. Zanny was like one of the most anticipated characters of like of 2.0. She's not really that like, she's not that OP on her own. Chisa, yeah, one of the most looked forward to characters, the most hyped. She kind of fucking like, she's like mid right now. Like she's just kind of like whatever. She's not that outstanding or anything or whatever the fuck it is. So like popularity doesn't mean that those characters are going to be OP inherently, but it is about like, are they strong in story? That's really it. Are they strong in story? Are they a focal point of story? If so, they're likely going to be stronger than all the other characters in some way. Like, that's just how it is.
Everything is exactly the same and there is no increase. What do you like? I feel like the looking forward to factor, sure, for waifus, but that kind of boils down, that actually I think makes for a cycle even worse than this, because like that has to mean that the only things of interest will ever be if something perfectly aligns with your taste. Twin tails, white hairs, red eyes. Like, how often do you think a twin tail, white hair, red eye chick is gonna fucking come out? If that doesn't align with your interest, then you're fucking gonna be skipping like 50 fucking characters between. At the end of the day, I think the issue with gacha players is they don't fucking understand themselves. Like, they're the type of motherfuckers to go into a casino, say, I hate gambling, pulls the fucking lever, watches the thing spin. It's like, fuck, I hate gambling. You guys don't know.
This I feel like this is kind of what I'm referring to when it's like we all exist in this corpo pipeline, and just think of how the normies see us. The normies of gaming think we are the worst bottom of the barrel type of gaming players. Look at the Game Awards, for example. They think, bro, every time they saw a gacha game as an advertisement, they're like, oh, more anime gacha slot. Like, we are the worst kinds of fucking like gamers that exist. People hate on. We're the worst. We're the worst of it. It's just a reality. That's just it. It's just a fucking reality. But that doesn't mean we don't want this. Who is we? All of us that play gacha games. All of us that play gacha games. But that doesn't mean that we don't want the systems to get better. Like, we could exist in this shit and still want it to improve.
That like these are things you like. You're in denial. You're just like, we don't like this stuff. Okay, we're not gamblers. Actively rolling, you know. So it's like it's the same thing with
like. By definition, we're all hypocrites because we criticize the thing we partake in and participate in. That's just like a reality of that. I think we all all inherently hypocrites in that regard. But you kind of have to like own that and then say, we still want it to get better and we will support the things in the games that do it better. Now, someone could turn around and say, Cap, what about Do It Night Abyss? How's that going for you? Counterpoint, Do It Night Abyss. They ain't a gacha. Exactly. That's the point. They stopped doing the gacha thing and the game still sucks. But it's not because they got rid of gacha. It's because the game just kind of sucked.
Time, they'd also be the same people who would be bored if like the characters were all fucking equivalent power, all exactly the fucking same, with like no fucking like upward ceiling. You know, they can deal the same damage, but their gameplay can become way more interesting. I feel like, sure, you can create a game where every character is perfectly balanced and they do that, but
that's really hard to do. That's really hard to do. Like in okay, I'm gonna try compare games here, right? I'm going to try to compare like Weather Race to Honkai Star Rail. For example, in Honkai Star Rail, all the 3.0 characters are kind of like balanced to each other to a certain extent. obviously there are some like equivalences, but overall of the 3.0 cast, they're kind of like in a similar ballpark compared to like 2.0. If you're comparing 3.0 roster to 2.0, whatever, they're all kind of like similar in a similar kind of vein. Wuthering Waves, they make a lot of different types of characters that deal a lot of different types of damage, right? Obviously you have your like attributes, right? So you have your fusion, you have your havoc, you have your spectro, like, but what matters more than that is like your basic attack damage dealing, or your liberation damage dealing, or your echo skill damage dealing, or like it's gonna be like toon break damage dealing, or whatever it is. So by having not only all the different attributes, but all the different ways of you to like deal certain kinds of damage, you can then try and balance them out amongst each other. And then when you make an end game that shills for a particular type of like damage, it takes longer overall to like power creep the whole game. Does that make sense? Having more different ways of a character to deal damage, and ever so slightly an endgame will cater to kind of one of them. You have like a rotation of power creep, but it's a cycle and it keeps like coming back. You'll always go, okay, toon break characters, then you've got negative status characters, and then you shield for liberation, and then maybe basic attack, and then maybe shield characters you'll like shield endgame for. But eventually you'll always like cycle back to something else that exists, or a new mechanic that they've added, and that's their way of trying to balance out like power creep of like eventually the thing that you have will always come back in to be like a focal point. And I think that's a way better way to design power creep in like end games of things, because it's not like those other characters suddenly become irrelevant, they come back. The problem with Honkai Star Rail had is that it's a version issue. Like the 3.0 version characters work within each other, but outside of that it's difficult, and the endgame cycles around the version characters, not the previous ones. Whereas in WoA, they cycle around like the actual damage dealing matters that like happen with all the characters. So that's kind of the difference, and why I do like WoA's way of approaching like power creep and end games, because rather than just make new characters like overwhelmingly stronger, they just give them a new way of dealing damage, and then that's the thing that gets shielded in the end game. And I kind of prefer that way of doing it personally. It's not perfect, but I kind of prefer it.
I have not seen that in a live service game executed properly, where it maintains interest, like legitimately. If you guys give me a example of a live service anime styled game that has zero power creep ever in its entire history, FGO, you're fucking stupid if you think FGO has had no power creep.
If there was no power creep, then I agree, people would stop pulling for characters, because there would come a point where like you would have no need to. Or like you would only pull because a character was visually interesting for you, right? So what matters is like the bosses and how they interact with the cast, and making new supports of characters that help another character like on your teams. Like that's kind of like what happens. So I'm in agreement that in these gacha games, like at some point you have to like, like power creep doesn't necessarily mean people get stronger. But like how they get stronger matters. Like, is it because the enemy's HP pool increases, so you need supports that buff damage in a certain way? Does the base damage of the character actually just get stronger, or is it their interactions with other characters mean they get stronger, or is it the mechanic that they're interacting with makes them stronger? Like there's so many ways of like power creeping things. I think the worst way of power creeping is just like this character just at its base deals more damage than the others. I think that is the absolute worst form of power creep possible. It trivializes things completely. That's the worst way of introducing power creep. This like at its base, just DPS numbers wise from nothing, this character does way more than like the others. Like that, I think that's the fucking worst way of dealing with it. I would much rather, like, if we're dealing with power creep, it's like, oh, it interacts this way with another thing, or like a support. Like I would rather it to be like that. I just don't want a character just like, yeah, we're just straight up like, we're just better. But in 4.0 HSR, based on rumors, the whole system is changed to deal damage. Yeah, like we spoke about it yesterday.
creep, no character creep, no fucking, like, are you dumb? Tribe 9 did it best. That's not true. Tribe 9 had characters profoundly fucking better than others. Tribe 9 had character combos that could one-shot fucking highest tier bosses. Meanwhile, other characters are fucking over there tickling the motherfucker. Perfectly balanced. Like, I don't think you guys are understanding the idea of a live service model. A live service model is to, like, continue interest. And the best way to continue...
Elation is basically Sirens, because a specific buff, but as a path. Yeah, it's definitely something. I think it's better than having a, oh, you need to pull this character for like all of your characters to like even work. So the fact that it's baked in is like, I think, a better thing. But like, yeah, it's about like how this interacts. What matters more with Elation is how it interacts with the enemies of the patch more than anything else.
Interest is hype, and the best way to have hype is power creep. It unironically is, as sad as it is to say. When things get stronger, it gets more hype, which gets people interested. You can type question mark all you want.
League of Legends is not balanced. I don't know. I don't think League is like they try, but I don't know about like, I don't know about like if it's good. Like that's a can of worms, is it not? That's a can of worms. Yeah, if a meta exists, there is no balance. Like, they try to balance, but like that's
brains work. They see big number, they go, ooh, big number, wow, go boom. 100%, I agree with you. It would be amazing if there was a fucking perfect utopia where we had live service games where every character is perfectly balanced and they only release characters that are somehow have unique gameplay styles and are perfectly balanced. I don't know how they figure it out, right? Because apparently we have geniuses in chat where like multiple MOBAs, hero shooters, everything have never figured out how to balance every character in a game.
Sure. If every character was always balanced, they would never have to do like consistent patch updates and nerfs and buffs all the time. If that was true, they would never have to constantly every patch change it.
To be equally powered, but chatters, hey guys in chat, you guys are the future game devs. You guys are clearly the ones that are gonna revolutionize.
Gacha suffers because you can't go back and nerf characters that you've made. You can't change them. Like, once you've made it, you're locked in. But MOBAs and hero shooters, they can change them whatever the fuck that they want. Whenever the fuck they want. But in gacha, it's like, we'll just sell you another character. Like, that's just how it is. That's what I'm saying. We're all corpo enjoyers. We eat it. And we fucking partake in it. Like, it is what it is. We're all fucking cut by gacha to some degree. Some more than others. Like, it's just kind of what it is.
Can have 30,
yeah, they tried that with Nouvelette. They tried that. Do you remember the spin to win thing? They tried it and they were like, oopsie. Okay, sorry. We'll revert it.
60 characters, all perfectly balanced to be exactly the same power level, right? I guess I'm just spoiled with Nikkei and wanting pilgrims and us actually getting them instead of waiting 1 year. Okay, if you're spoiled with Nikkei, tell me, is every Nikkei fucking perfectly balanced? Divine Marksman, you're the one who's been arguing me with this point about perfectly balanced characters. Nikkei is not even fucking close with every character being perfectly balanced. League is the most unbalanced piece of fucking pile of shit in the universe. That thing is terrible. All right? It is not balanced at all. CS2, not a hero shooter. Do any games bot?
Bro laughed. Bro laughed. I think I'd rather take the word of a Korean gamer when it comes to the state of League of Legends than chatters. Yeah, that's my take on that.
To keep a perfect balance, they don't. That's the thing. I'm pretty sure most developers have gotten to the point where live service and perfect balance is just not an attainable thing. So they go through rotations where certain characters or in certain metas appear.
That's what I'm saying with Wuwa. That's what I'm saying. Echo skill damage, liberations, your basic attacks, shield uses, fucking whatever. That's why they do that. That's what I'm saying.
And rotate in and out, and that's like how they maintain some type of cycle. It's just impossible to have equivalent balance across everything and then maintain like a fucking like interesting and hype game. I think the best thing we can hope for is minimal power creep. People still doing 4-star clears and Arknights even despite power creep. Okay, but are those people like the 1% that are like fucking Kyostin V like min-maxing, sweating with their fucking spreadsheets, or are they like the average Joe? Like, I hate when people use extreme examples to try to fucking like extrapolate that into being like the fucking average player. Like, can we stop doing that ever? Like, why do people always do that? It's like, oh, Faker's been playing League professionally for 10 years. The average professional must be 10 years of gameplay. Like, no, the average pro player lasts less than a year in the scene. Like, this doesn't mean anything. All right. I like that I can make
bro, I can't. The state of like professional gaming is like a really interesting thing. Dude, like I now and then I will see clips of like Fortnite, like people playing like the game professionally. Like looking at like the state of it now compared to like fucking like 5-10 years ago is like, what the fuck are they doing? They're just like, and they win. It's like, what the fuck? What do we do gaming?
Characters is really fun to experiment. That is enough for me with CZN. Yeah, that's why like this whole discussion started with like people, Jam Master trying to tell me that like Serennial is gonna like make me want to quit CZN because like I don't get that logic, right? Like at the end of the day, I have Serennial. She's OP, you know? Serennial is not minimum power creep. I agree. I think she's really fucking strong. But why? How does that affect me? Like, this is why I'm talking about like where it seems like so many of you guys have become less video game players, but more like self-politicians, where you're like, this character's a little too power creepy for me. I have to look into the future here and the projection of this game, and I have to determine that I don't like the political atmosphere that this game is going towards. I think I need to withdraw myself from it. What do you mean, bro? It's a video game. If you don't want to play it, don't play it. If you want to play it, play it. It's just that easy.
This is what this is the what I'm talking about when we come to the gacha cockification, right? This is the bit that I mean. It's kind of like, well, you know, people can still criticize the things that you play and kind of wish for it not to be like so bad or for it to get to be outrageous. You still kind of have to like hold companies accountable to some extent for it to not get worse, right? That's like a really valid thing. Like, hey, like this level of power creep like is like, it exists and we can accept it to an extent, but we just don't want it to get worse than it is. But Fob is like so gacha cocked that like he's just like, oh, it is, so who cares? Just don't play it then. Just don't play. But it's like it's okay. I do think it's okay to exist in the system that you also want to criticize. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I think. So like I agree with a lot of Fob's takes, but he's so gacha cocked. That's the thing.
Like, why are you fucking trying to be like, analyze the power creep too much? We must quit. Not good. Like, bro, I don't know why people have made video games so deep.
Like, okay, if people didn't fucking criticize shit, we'd still have the Genshin weapon banners that we used to have. We wouldn't have like guaranteed like pulls in gacha games. We wouldn't have all the better like gacha systems that the games that try and make it better over time, right? Like, if we just accepted it is what it is, things would never fucking improve. It only comes from the people who play the games who want the change. Yes, they're hypocrites in a way because they exist in a game and system that inherently is like predatory and whatever and has power creep, but it has to have power creep at its core. But it doesn't mean that you want it to get worse. It doesn't mean that you wanted to get fucking worse. This is what I don't understand. I just don't understand of just of like why are we cocking ourselves with this? I was like, okay, fine, just like let it go to shit. Are we just going to accept? So I think it's a weird take to kind of like shit on people who are critical of like bad systems that are going to make the game worse for everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, we could still exist in the system and criticize it at the same time, you know?
It is literally, do you have fun? Do you not? Have fun? Keep playing. Not have fun? Quit. What is the...
You could still have fun and be like, I think this thing is concerning. Like you could still like have fun and be like, I could see how this could be a problem later on, and maybe we don't do that. It's gonna have critical conversation, honestly, but idiots don't want that. It gives good perspective. True. But like, I think if it's a point of where like, if you're experiencing a game and it generally makes you upset and you are generally not having fun anymore, then fine. Okay, like I accept the point of like, just don't fucking play it. I accept that. I accept that thinking of like, okay, just don't play it if you don't want to, whatever. But I think being critical of a thing that you still play and want to enjoy and improve is like a bad thing. I don't think that's like a bad thing.
Why is this so deep? Sounds like people being careful with their time. That's fine, but it's when,
because like what he's saying is inherently just a way to instill toxic positivity. Nothing would ever change, by the way. If no one was ever critical and like, I think this could be a bad thing in the future, nothing would ever fucking change.
People then do that and then go like, you should quit. You shouldn't feel good about it. You should also think like I do because I don't like the game, and you should also stop liking the game, right? Like that's where it goes off, right?
I think people should think for themselves. I do. I think the best way of going about it is just giving the facts to people and being like, hey, I'm giving an opinion that I don't think this is a good thing going forward. And if you want to engage with it, fine. But like, hey, I have a bad feeling about this going forward. I think that's okay. But people make content. I think he's kind of referring to content creators here, right? He's referring to the people that are like, this thing is really bad and you should also be like equally outraged at the thing that I'm outraged by, right? But like, when it comes to that kind of stuff, and we want to talk about like content creators in that regard, all that does, I'm going to be honest, all that does is rile up the people in your own fan bases or communities that already think the same fucking way, right? Like all that does is send a message to the communities that you already have. Like you hate a certain thing and you have developed an audience that also hates that certain thing. All you're going to do is rile up your audience who already hate that fucking thing anyway, right? They already hate that fucking thing, and the people who loved it are going to be like, oh, these people are stupid for like hating on the thing. Like nothing. The only thing that happens is two factions just get more riled up against each other. Like at the end of the day, like it doesn't really change that fucking much. That really, of course, you'll have some people that might swap and change their views, but it depends how you communicate the information. It depends if you're going to be like a dickhead about it and try and communicate. Obviously, you're not going to convert more people to your way of fucking thinking, right? But if you try and lay out information in a nice way that people can accept, obviously, like you can have a conversation at that point. But in gacha worlds, people don't want conversations; they want fucking arguments because engagements. Like this is how it is.
But can you answer me seriously on why you see 6 characters and then say you don't want everything to be OP? I see 6 characters not because I want them to be OP. I see, because I don't think you understand, Divine Marksman. I come from an era of playing gacha games with like weird egos. I come from an era where
guys, I promise I'm going to try and explain why I don't have a problem. No, I don't have a problem. Guys, listen, I don't have a problem. I have a really good reason. I have a really good reason.
I used to, he's rich? No, I used to do this before when I lived paycheck to paycheck, bro. On FGO, I used to like MP3 to MP5 characters because I was like, that's my waifu, bro. Not because I wanted her to be OP. If you know anything about FGO, NP levels don't fucking make him OP past MP2. Because MP2 already pretty much gets you to the point of looping in most cases. Anything past that is actually a waste of money. But it's a badge of honor to show that you have MP5. When people hop onto your support list and they see that fucking MP5, they're like, oh, a based person. Huh. Ego, is it just a show?
Based. I mean, he's not wrong. That's what a lot of people do it for. That's what they get their enjoyment from, right? That's what they get their enjoyment from. But it is inherently saying, right, that there is an ego when it comes to gacha, and like people don't care. They just like the it's what it is, like whatever. Showing off a co-op W from gacha, but like it is a mental illness. It is. But guess what? We all play fucking gacha games. We're all playing gacha. I will like gachas so strangers think I am based. On the other hand, it's good to have someone like him so the game is funded. ZZZ has a center for S6 and characters profiles. There's the thing, like if you wanna E6 or C6 or like max out a character because you feel fucking good about it, not my problem, right? At that point, that's not my fucking problem. That ain't my problem. So of course you're not gonna give a fuck about power creep. You're not gonna really give a fuck about like metas or anything else, because that's not what your interest is or where it lies. But I think a lot of times these days in the modern era of gacha gaming, people are trying to experience these things as games, right? I don't think Fob views gacha games as like games. He views them as like an experience that has characters he really likes in them. But these days in 2026, people are really pushing for gachas to be more like actual games where like things have consequences, gameplay matters, skill matters, story matters, and that's what it is. People want more of them to be games. Where he comes from a time where it's like it doesn't really matter that much about the game, the characters are the thing, right? He sees an experience, not a game, and I think that's the difference here. So like that's why I feel it's okay for people to be analytical about the gachas of the games, because the power creep matters to the gaming experience.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. Literally, I do not C6, E6, M6 anything for power, because as we've proven many times, you can clear all the end game in these fucking kiddie game gacha games with like fucking C0 to C2. But you know, it's like a identifier of being like, I'm a main, or I'm a...
Y'all expect too much from free games sometimes. Okay. So we should just like not want things to improve. Like, what's your stance here? You're kind of speaking from a perspective. That's not what I said. Okay, but you're saying y'all expect too much from free games sometimes. Is kind of you admitting or trying to say that like they can't improve, or like they are how they are. So you're expecting too much from a game that's free. But here's the thing. Like, calling it like a free game is wild when we all well know that people spend a lot of money in these games, right? Like, reducing it to like, oh, it's a free game, what do you expect? Yeah, these games make $500 million a year. So yes, I do expect these free games to like try and be more like games when they make more money than real games do. Is that a wild concept? Is this a wild concept? Games themselves don't do anything the developers do, and the corpos are billionaires.
And main, it's that more so than anything. It doesn't have anything to do with like I want power. Like, bro, I don't fucking care. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like they can come out of your monitor and start fucking you because of you pulled their max potential. Okay, no shit, Sherlock, but it still shows you're a bigger fan. Okay, back in my day, chat, I used to be like, in those FGO discords, we used to be like, the amount of MP levels you had showed how dedicated you were to your waifu. All right, so you had to get those fucking MP levels. All right, you had to be like, oh, yeah, you know, I ain't no.
I'm honestly, Fob is so brave for showing how much of a mental illness he has. Honestly, this is a brave man. This is like a collective psychosis. This is a brave man. I salute him. I really do. Like, everyone should be as honest. Honestly, I feel like one thing I respect Fob for the most is his fucking honesty. He's like, yep, this is what it means. This is how I felt. This is how it was. I respect his honesty.
MP1 pleb, MP3 minimum. Now, for feeling extra, wanting to be extra homeless this month, MP5, you know, weirdos. Yeah, but that's just like, I actually think that's the old era of gacha players. I don't know if anybody like played gacha from back in like 2015, 16, but like that's like the logic. That's a mentality from back then. Whereas very much a waifu collector, and the more copies of you had of a waifu,
like Fob really sometimes does sound like a boomer, right? Back in my day, this is how the world used to work, you know? You would beat your wife when you came home, and she'd make you dinner and you wouldn't complain. So I don't know why now people want to treat women with respect. I don't know why. That's a terrible comparison. That's a terrible segue. I don't know why that was the first thing that came into my head. I'm not implying anything with that one. Oh my fucking god. But it's like, it really is just boomer mindset. It really is just like boomer mindset of like, this is the way things were. So like that, I understand that's how like your views are gonna stay that way, and they're probably not gonna change. Right, back in my days, 2014 gacha didn't even have dupe system. Those 2015, 2016 zoomers. My experience with gacha games back then was installing, realizing the game is ass, then deleting it. Back then, when some stuff could be bought. Oh my god, what the okay, it's crazy. But like, no, people, there are definitely a new, the new generation of gacha players completely outshines and outtrumps the old gacha players, and people just kind of have to accept that's how it is, right? Like, there are more people playing gacha games now than there were fucking 10 years ago, and like, that's just it. We can't just like go by from like what it used to be. This is how it is now. And what do people want? What do we want? People want games. People want free to play. Like, they see games like Fortnite, which is a free to play game. It's live service and people love it, right? They just want it. It doesn't matter if it's a free. People just want a good game. Like, that's really what it is. Like, they just want good experiences.
It's like how much dedication you had towards that character. And that's where like I carry over from. So like when I M6, E6, S6 a character, it's not because I want power. It's because I want to be like, that's a character I really like, you know?
Like, here's the thing, like, I
hate gambling.
I agree with Fob when it comes to like why these gachas do these power creep things and how they could balance it out. But I just really, the cognitive dissonance just kind of falls apart halfway through, and it's like the gacha mental illness cucking just like comes in where we don't care. Like, we're criticizing people who want the gacha games to be better games. I think inherently just isn't a particularly like good ideal to have or to instill in people. Like, that's my thing. I just don't think that's a good idea to instill in people. But like, you know, yeah, I don't think it's I don't want to sit on the fucking I don't want to die on the hill of like, well, yeah, but that's just like how they used to be and how they are. So if you don't like it, like, stop being political about it. It's like, well, let's just encourage like better like communication. But I don't know, like, I like Fob. It's an interesting discussion. Like, I think it's an interesting discussion for sure, like 100%. But yeah, that's kind of it. Hey, maybe we made this a video. This is kind of interesting. So I appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Twitch.tv/CaptainCabinetz, Captain Cabinetz.